Hello everybody, my name is Will and welcome back to Sprocket. Today we're doing something a little bit different, not in terms of what you're going to watch here, but in terms of the way that this is recorded. We are live right now, so I will be maybe talking a little bit differently to how I normally do. So hopefully it doesn't interrupt your enjoyment of this. I'm trialing streaming the recording, the building segments, and then also recording and seeing if I can get 2 bits out of 1. So we'll see how it goes. But if any slight unusualnesses occur during this video, then that is why. But today we're building a super light tankette along the style of like the L333C or the TKS, I think is the Polish one, that kind of a thing. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we end up with a really cool little tankette, and I don't want it to be too unrealistic as well, so we'll see. So straight away, I just want to say a thank you to everyone who turned up to the stream for this one. It was a very successful stream, and I'm really glad that you guys seem to enjoy that. As for the actual videos, it does increase my editing time a little bit. However, I feel like that might get a little bit easier with time and improved methods. The problem is, basically, when I'm editing, I like to look at the peaks on my audio graph, and that is kind of how I determine when I should do cuts and when I should come back and start speaking again. And that is extremely difficult when I'm talking literally the entire time. And also, slight downside on the stream side, because I'm filming on YouTube, I don't have any music in the background, which does mean the stream can fall quiet if I'm, you know, not speaking for a second or two. Okay, so I've got the internals pretty much worked out. Obviously, because of where the transmission is, I'm going to need to move this to a front sprocket, and we're going to have to change the whole setup of the tracks in order to actually match what's going on inside. But once that's done, we can start getting to work styling the hull around the equipment that we've got inside. The gun's obviously going to go in front of this guy's a bit further back. And then we can fit a fuel tank nicely behind this driver here, and a bit of ammo as well. Maybe even above the engine we can have some ammo, but I probably want a bit of a lower deck here. But yeah, we'll get to work. But as you can tell, we are still going to be jumping to and from the kind of past recordings and these future tense things. So from your experience as a video watcher, this should be very, very familiar to you. But yeah, we're essentially now just shrink wrapping this tank around the crew inside. Obviously, at the moment, they've just been sat in this massive, massive box with absolutely nothing going on. And it starts off looking like basically a baby A7V, but I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail. You can tell it doesn't quite end up looking like this. There are a couple of things that needed to change on the interior to support this, like namely the driver and the gunner kind of moving a little bit further back towards the metal plate behind them. And originally I had this kind of indented back panel behind the driver, which eventually disappears in favor of just a little bit lower of a frontal plate, because it kind of just had this massive sloped plate going up to the front, which didn't exactly look great. I mean, in theory, it kind of would have worked. I don't see why it wouldn't have worked in practice, but oh well, we changed it anyway. Maybe we could have made it work with a little bit more time, but I was not feeling the vibe. Oh, he's got a window. Oh, hi, buddy. No outside world for you. And this kind of took a long time to really start feeling amazing. As you can see, at the moment, it's feeling very, very, how do we say, flimsy? Whereas before, in the previous clip, it was looking very, very bulky. I kind of took away some of the empty space and ended up taking up too much away to the point where it looks ridiculous the other way round. So, yeah. Oh, well, that's fine. We ended up going back a little bit. The problem is, what kept on happening, there we go, is we kept on kind of making the tank go back to this L3 look. It wasn't necessarily meant to be a replica of the L3. It just, every single time it came up where I had to make a design choice to improve the look, it ended up kind of heading in that direction. So The engine deck here is turning into a little bit more of an L3 engine deck. I did want to keep some features distinct, but you know, ultimately there were a couple converging features. I was trying out a couple shapes for the roof, and none of them really worked. I do eventually also raise up the entire engine deck, because that was not feeling great. This is one of my favorite things I actually did to the tank here. I raised up this frontal segment, just to, I don't know, feel like that was where the steering column or whatever was going. I don't know. Driver-related stuff goes there. And for whatever reason, just having that little bit of asymmetry and that little bit of a difference away from the real-life L3 really helped this thing stand out a little bit and made it feel a lot better in my head, even though it was actually a very, very small change. Yeah, here you can see me finally making up my mind that I've kind of got to raise the engine deck, I think. I maybe raised it a little bit too high, but it kind of becomes charming towards the end how goofy it looks. So I'm kind of fine with the choices I made, and it does mean we could fit a bigger engine in this thing if we really wanted to. Okay, so I'm struggling a little bit to get this thing looking exactly how I want it. However, we're getting there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to work a little bit more on getting the internals feeling right. And then hopefully that'll kind of coincide with the outside coming together as well, because they should go roughly hand in hand. And one thing you saw there was I tried to go back to the old versions of the game and kind of move the entire hull, but not move the tracks. But yeah, the new way of things working is that the wheels are basically attached to the hull as if they were like a 3D decoration piece. So it's a little bit awkward that the entire track segment just kind of moved, but I just pretended that didn't happen. I don't think anyone in chat noticed, right? And fenders here. This tank feels wide, is something that I felt while I was building this. Maybe it's because it's short. It's not a hugely long tank, and I think it's not hugely long even in comparison to some other tankettes, though obviously, you know, it's pretty close. So maybe that's why, but yeah, maybe I should have brought one of them a little bit further back and kind of like pushed them together side to side a little bit more. I don't know. Regardless, this is as wide as the tank got, and I couldn't make it any narrower without them starting to clip into the crew, or without the armor starting to clip into the crew, so oh well. Yeah, this is I think where the tank really started to come together. Just like adding those little details which really made it feel like it wasn't just this weird shape of a kind of weird rhombus thing, and it was actually a living, breathing, not breathing, tanks don't breathe, but you know what I mean, like an alive tank. Oh, tanks aren't alive either. A real tank, there we go. These are always the kind of moments where you're like, I see where my brain was going now. And if you ever feel like, you know, you're not happy with your design, I would recommend you just start putting a little bit of detail on here or there. Not so much that if you do need to make changes to the hull, it's going to take you forever, but just a little bit, enough to make you start to realize what it's going to look like when it's done, you know? Okay, I'm starting not to hate the hull now. We're starting to feel a little bit better. So I think we'll start putting on the mantlet and trying to get this thing actually moving, because we've kind of done lots of different bits, and it's all come together much quicker than I was really expecting it to. And now I hear those words again. It's very clear to me that that was just foreshadowing, because things got very, very slow from this point on. I just kept running into small things that made the tank not quite feel right, just making little tiny tweaks which kind of helped it look good, but also meant that the internals now didn't fit, so I had to do another round of human Tetris and gun Tetris and all that. And come to think of it, we don't actually have a human Tetris section in this one because we put the crew in at first, which means this is the first video I've uploaded since 0.2 came out in early access that I've not had a human Tetris segment. And honestly, I feel like the video's missing out on something. Maybe we should always have a human Tetris segment. Maybe maybe it's the most important part. Maybe it's not. Let me know. Do you like human Tetris? Do you hate human Tetris? I get the impression that a lot of you really, really love human Tetris as much as I love human Tetris. And this has been too many times saying the word human Tetris. Wow, I really go on in these episodes, don't I? Who listens to this, honestly? Anyway, custom mantlet time. Because I have been cursed for my hubris and my work is never done. I love the new custom mantlets. The fact that they mirror now without you having to place them on the hull, save the compartments, flip the compartments, make sure that that doesn't break your geometry and hope that it looks good once it's actually placed on. Oh, it's so much better now, and I should build an oscillating tank soon, really. Okay, so we've got a custom mantlet going on here. Once again, just really liking how the custom mantlets work in this update. I need to cover up the little machinery bits at the back here and make it look like it can do a little bit of sideways rotation as well. So those are going to be the main challenges for this one, because this is, I think, the first time in this update I've had a mantlet that can go side to side as well as forward and backwards. So hopefully this doesn't look completely ridiculous once I'm done with it. There's an ice cream van outside. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can get ice cream. Everyone's telling me to get ice cream now. Hang on. Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna get an ice cream.
A few moments later.
There we go. Got a chocolate magnum. It's very difficult to talk and eat an ice cream at the same time. This is incredible. This ice cream is causing me so much stress right now because I'm trying not to be boring, but also I can't not eat the ice cream. It's not like a bag of crisps where I can comedically buy a bag of crisps and then put them down. I've got this ice cream and now I have to eat the ice cream. You've bought me a time bomb. That's what this is. Well, that was a mistake, and I lost a lot of viewers buying that ice cream, but you know what? It was a good ice cream. I enjoyed it. Yeah, well, look, right? I kind of wanted an ice cream, and everyone was like, get an ice cream. So I got an ice cream, all right? It's perfectly normal. Anyway, where was I? Yes, very, very, very slowly putting a mantlet together. That's what I was doing. This was another point on the tank where I was going for something completely different. I was kind of wanting like a plate that was outside of the tank and would kind of rotate on a pintle, but it just didn't quite look right, and everybody was pushing for 2 guns, so you know, I went with 2 guns, and that kind of just meant I had to go for, in my mind, the L3 mantlet again, which is a shame, but it was the only real way I could picture this mantlet really working. So we ended up putting on originally 2 37mm guns, and then people said that one should be shorter than the other, and I was like, well, if one's going to be shorter, that may as well be a little 20mm dinky gun. Realistically, it would probably be a machine gun and a cannon, but, you know, oh well. That's fine. So we've ended up with a 20mm and a 37mm cannon on the front of this thing, which I've got to say is a pretty mean armament for a tank like this and a tank of this era. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty thrilled with the armament on this thing. I don't know how the penetration would actually look if the era was set correctly, if that makes sense. I believe all of the tanks that we're making in Point 2 are built in the equivalent of late war era. So yeah, it is a little bit difficult to actually get a realistic impression of what this tank would be like in the kind of interwar era, I suppose, or early war if you really want to use these things past their sell-by date. And here is me struggling massively to get the guns to actually fit in the tank. Because these 2 guns can't really collide with anything, and there were a couple of glitched out plates on this thing, I did end up spending a really, really long time trying to work out what was clipping with my guns, because it didn't make any sense. Everything looked like it should work. Eventually, I found the culprit plate, and it was part of the mantler, and it made a lot of sense once I saw the plate, but yeah, it took like about 15 minutes, unironically, for it to show itself, which maybe is a skill issue, and you can see me removing the plate there, but it does mean that we've got our armament, we got it in, it's fine, I swear. Just a little bit embarrassing on stream. After much fighting, we have finally gotten the guns in. We have a 20mm and we have a 37mm gun. The layout is a little bit strange, but it is in there, and all of my engine and my transmission are grey now. Apparently, that's a thing that has happened. Amazing. Okay. Oh, with that, I think we're getting to the point where this might almost work. Okay, so we've got our two guys in here. We got our 20mm, we got our 37mm gun. This is quite well armed for one of these little things. It's a little bit on the cumbersome side to operate, but why not, honestly, have two guns? It was good fun to have. So, yeah, I think... Oh, I've got to fix that, but I think we're almost ready to tune up this transmission and get this thing properly working, and then we can call it a day. Unfortunately, our engine can rev like crazy because of the era, but we want to kind of make sure that we have a lower output than this tank can possibly do, because we want to manually limit ourselves, I think. So, finally, it's taken a long time to get to this point. It's surprisingly hard to make one of these look like it belongs, and we got some weird plate shenanigans going on back here, which I'm not entirely thrilled with, but there we go, that fixed it. Oh, no it didn't. That has fixed it. We have named it the L3 Coulson Jaboso, and I believe it is time to give this a test. Now, I already have a little bit of spot... No, hang on, I've not done my gearbox. Let's fix that, Okay, gearbox is tuned, and now we do accelerate quite a lot slower, but once we get going, we're going to hit quite a lot of a better top speed. So if we give us a little bit of a drive, look at this! It's actually... Okay, well, it's definitely not rapid. But what is the top speed looking like if we just blast in a straight line? I believe it should be something about 20, maybe even 24-ish miles an hour, maybe, I'm gonna guess. If we absolutely beans it, we're at 22, 23, 24... 25. Oh, it just keeps climbing. It keeps climbing. What a speed demon. 27 miles an hour. Oh my goodness. 28. It's almost town speed limits in England. 30 miles an hour. We are now breaking the speed limit in a school zone. Fantastic. Wait. No, I can't have a recording of me saying that on the internet. That sounds awful. We shall try... From roughly standstill, we're going to try and get up onto this. Here we go. Obviously, we might build up a little bit of speed at the lower end here, but it's not really going to help us too much towards the top. However... Oh, come on. Come on. You got this. You got this. Yeah, there we go. Now we can politely plop off the top. And the escape hatch comes in useful. Finally, we will demonstrate the gun. Now, prepare for your socks to be firmly remaining on your feet, as you are about to be sufficiently whelmed by this. And here we go now. Yep, the 20mm doesn't work. I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, I fixed, using the clever use of fire groups, our gun situation. So now, we got the 37mm, which reloads dreadfully slowly, like so. Yep, that's the maximum fire rate. And then we got the 20mm, which fires not at all. The 37 works. Oh well. But yeah, this is a very, very, very small little tank. There is not a lot of room left in this thing. We could compress it further. We definitely could. However, I think it's a fair balance between teeniness and realism. So I really really hope you enjoyed this one. And just before we go, we will share a couple of crazy creations which we made at the end of the stream. If you want to see me building those, then you can have a look on the stream VOD, which will still be up on the channel, and you can watch as I do that live and listen to all of your insanity. That is the size of a standing human next to the Jaboso. That is absolutely tiny. Oh man. 94 millimeter. 94 millimeter. How fast can we fire a night? What a view! This is like a James Bond intro, right? Pew! Hey, that's actually that's actually quicker. That's quicker than the 37. This is a better gun. 94mm armed is the best armament. Okay, I remembered to move the gun sight on this long-ish barrel 57mm gun. How does it go? It's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's alright, actually. I think this is probably the most efficient gun we've had so far. Here we go. Here we go. This is the kind of we could go lancing with this. And fire the gun! Yeah! I mean, it doesn't reload very quickly. However, I believe the penetration's quite good. What have we got? 136mm penetration. You can kill a tiger with this thing. For sanity's sake, and for saving my poor hard drive storing any more video, we're gonna call it here. We're gonna call this the last ridiculous version of the Jaboso that we build. Thank you very much, everyone, for sticking around. Thank you very much for watching the stream, if you did, and obviously those of you who are in the video. But this is the final version, and we're going to call it here. So thank you very much for watching both the stream and the video this time. And without any further ado, goodbye for now. And as always, a huge thank you to this channel's patrons: Ambrose, ChemGem135, Cody, and DigiPete's, Gavunga, Massa929, Sad Cat, Jack Not Angry, Just Casual T611, Last Legend 11, Mildly Invested, Relax Panda, Rols's Bokken, Ryan Brody, Stug3, Terror, The Kinesian Emperor, Worthsickle, and Zeit Wolverine. Thank you so much for your support.